Hey amigas, you are listening to the English Made Simple show. This is episode number 219, number 219, número 219. Welcome amigos y amigas, welcome to today's episode of the English Made Simple show. This is episode number 219, and with today's episode we are kicking off our theme for the month, which is conversations in English. That's it, that's our theme for the month. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Milena and I am the host of the English Made Simple show. And my home address is englishmadesimple.net. That's where I live. You can come over for a cup of coffee right here at englishmadesimple.net. englishmadesimple.net. So amigos, today we go back to our regular show. So in the last couple of episodes we talked about how you can come over to Australia and to learn English. By the way, did you enjoy learning about how you can do that? How you can actually come to learn English in Australia? If you are new to this show and you are interested in doing that, go back to episode number 218 and 219. Oh, sorry. No, don't go there. Go back to episode number 218 and 217 to learn more, okay? Those two episodes will be helpful. Again, the episode 218 and 217. Or you can visit englishmadesimple.net/Australia to enter your details and you will receive more information. Alrighty, cool bananas, amigos y amigas. Let us proceed with today's show. So, as I promised earlier, today is going to be about this particular word, conversations. More specifically, conversations in English. By the way, did you know the slang word for conversation, the word conversation? The slang is convo, that's short. So if you ever get stuck pronouncing the word conversation, simply say convo for short. Good. All right, that's one tip in today's show that I'm sharing with you. So let me ask you a question before we begin. The question that I want to ask you is, what is your conversational style? What is your conversational style? It's kind of similar to communication style, if you will. But for the sake of today's episode, I'd like to talk about your conversational style. So what I mean by that, let me see. If you ever had to think about your conversational style, what would you say? Are you touchy-feely? Okay. Are you touchy-feely or are you the silent type who nods and smiles and listens when surrounded by people? Are you direct when you're communicating with people? Are you indirect? And what is the difference between these two, direct or indirect conversational styles? Alright, so we'll cover that in today's episode. And the last conversational style that I wanted to touch on today is, do you like to use proverbs and metaphors to communicate with others? Maybe you're a mix of all these, I don't know. So each of these I mentioned could describe your conversational style. It may be due to your personality or your characteristics, what you're like as a person. That may be your conversational style. So you may have acquired your particular style while growing up. So you've been taught this particular style by someone in your family. Maybe it's something that's culturally acceptable in your country. Okay, it could be something that's overall that happens in your country. I will give you a couple of examples to describe each style and to explain what they mean, what each style means, and how they are all different. I'll give you some examples. What could happen if each of those people get together and start communicating? Okay, each of the 5 different styles, they get together and they want to communicate. They want to have a cup of coffee and talk. Okay, well, that could be actually quite interesting. Okay, if we don't accept other people's communication style, we might end up in a conflict type of situation. There might be some arguments, but this rarely happens because we are all normal people. We have manners. We're not all rude and arrogant. So I'm just saying how we just need to be aware of each other's styles, I guess, communication styles, and try to always be humble and polite when you're talking with others, okay? So we may be oblivious to other people's cultures, which means we may not be aware to other people's cultures and their communication style because we've never experienced them before. And this happens when you move to live in another country, okay? So what could happen then? We are suddenly introduced to this new style of communication, and we may find ourselves to be either offended or embarrassed by maybe our communication style, okay? By what we say or what we hear other people say to us. Or we may think that something is wrong with us, okay? So you might start to get confused if you're in a different culture that is, that may find something completely normal, but to you that's not normal. So let me first start then by talking about this particular style, which is touchy-feely, okay? Touchy-feely style, that's what I call it. What that means literally is when you're touching people, when you are kind of like touching them in a way that's uncomfortable, makes them uncomfortable. So in some cultures, this is quite acceptable to touch people when you're talking to them. But in some cultures, this is not acceptable. So touchy-feely, what does it mean? According to Well Inteligente or the online dictionary, touchy-feely, this particular saying means kind and loving, especially by touching and holding people more than is usual, often in a way that makes other people uncomfortable, okay? How many people do you know who, when they talk to you, they always tend to touch some part of your body, like an arm, for example, okay? I'm not talking about Donald Trump type of touching, okay? I'm just talking about something more acceptable, I guess. Okay, so touchy-feely conversation. Touching an arm, for example, okay? So I have a friend from Colombia who is one of those touchy-feely people when they talk to you. Every time he talks to me, he would grab my arm while he's talking to me. I find that really interesting. I'm not offended by it, but there are some people out there who might not like to be touched, okay? Who might not appreciate that. They may not appreciate that type of action, they find it weird, why are you touching me? Or they could be too sensitive. So that style I call touchy-feely, okay? So what's another one I mentioned that I might talk to you about is the silent type, okay? That's my favorite type. That's my husband's conversational style. Just smiles and nods. Yes, Milena, that's right, Milena, yep. That's the silent type. The silent type doesn't initiate conversation, but is happy to participate and add a couple of wise words. So that's definitely not me for sure. I don't add wise words to any conversation. I'm a blabbermouth. Talk, 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 talk. Every chance I get, I just talk. Okay, let's go to the next conversational style. Let's see if this one could be you. Okay, maybe this one could be more like you. Do you have a more direct style of communication, or do you have a more direct conversational style? Direct means exactly that. You say things as they are. You say it like it is. There is no maybe, there's nothing in between. It's either black or white. The situation can only be black or white. It can never be gray or anything in between. So you say it like it is. When talking with these types of people, you ask questions. You ask them questions that start with what. They are not interested in the how. They don't care how things happen. They just want to know what happened. So when you're talking to these type of people, or if you're one of those people, so you have to be brief, direct, and to the point when you're talking with these type of people. Sometimes I do enjoy talking with these types of people, but sometimes I find them to be a bit rude. I've been told before by somebody that I am very direct, and maybe that's true as well. Maybe I'm half that, I guess. It's in my culture too to be direct with others. I don't always like it when someone else is direct with me, though. There is a time and place for that, when you have to be direct and fix things and sort things out. But let me just give you an example of someone who is direct. Okay, let me just give you an example what it means when someone has a direct conversational style. So here's an example. My imaginary friend Anna is back. Hey Anna, you got ketchup on your shirt. You got ketchup on your shirt, just like that. Just blurted it out, not being nice about it, just saying, yep, you got ketchup on your shirt. And she might be like, what? But the opposite of being direct is indirect. And an example of someone having an indirect conversational style is, hey Anna, really sorry to say this. I don't want to embarrass you, but I think you have a little something on your shirt. Maybe you should go to the bathroom to check it out and maybe remove that. So I'd say this is a more humble approach. Wouldn't you agree? It's more polite than saying, hey, you got ketchup on your shirt. You can say it with your friends, I guess, when you're, with your very, very close friends, but not somebody who you haven't met before. So you'd have to approach it differently. Does that make sense, amigos y amigas? Does it all make sense? Great. Cool bananas. And the last one I've got for you today, the last type of conversational style I've got. Let me ask you this. Are you one of those people who love to use proverbs or metaphors while talking with others? Do you love to use proverbs or metaphors when you're talking with somebody? Do you like to use some special sayings, I don't know, from centuries ago? I don't know, some old proverbs. It's funny, actually, whenever I speak with my mom, she would tell me something by using an old proverb. And she would say it in Serbian and in my native tongue that I don't speak every day. I would understand half of it. I would understand half of what she means by this saying, but then I would have to ask her to repeat it again and also explain it to me and what she meant by it. So it happens every time I speak with her. That's her conversational style. She likes to add proverbs whenever she communicates with others, with her friends as well. Whereas in Australia, I haven't really heard people use proverbs, but there could be some that do. Now that I think of it, there's one colleague I used to have, she would use proverbs, and it's just so funny to hear it though. So what would be an example of a proverb? Let me think. Let me first explain what a proverb is. Maybe some of you don't know. It's a saying. So it's a saying or a piece of advice. According to Well Inteligente, wow, Well Inteligente makes the appearance twice in today's episode. Alright, so according to Well Inteligente, a proverb is a short sentence that people often quote, which gives advice or tells you something about life. It's just a small piece of advice. And just recently when I watched Prison Break on Netflix, I heard this proverb in English, okay? But it's not an English proverb, it's actually an Arab proverb. And it goes like this. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Maybe you've heard that translation in your own languages before. So the saying was, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Muy interesante, isn't it? This really makes me sound wise, doesn't it? When I talk in proverbs, I should use it more often. So there we have it, boys and girls. There we have it. I've just shown you the most typical conversational styles. Which one are you? Can you recognize yourself in any of these conversational styles? Are you more touchy-feely, direct, indirect, or do you like to use proverbs? Amigos y amigas, if you have enjoyed today's episode, then please share it with your friends. That's the best compliment you can give me. Thanking you in advance, muchachos. There is more coming on the topic of English conversations, so stay tuned and look out for the next episode. Thanks for joining me today, amigos y amigas. You've been an amazing audience, and you've been jamming with Milena from English Made Simple. Have an awesome rest of the week. Until next time, hasta la próxima.